welcome you to Laramie, Wyoming, inside the Arena Auditorium at 7,220 feet. Tonight, women's hoops on the docket as the Gonzaga Bulldogs visit the Wyoming Cowgirls. Hi, everybody. It is great to have you with us alongside the former college basketball coach, Steve Gosar, Chris Sylvester on hand. We will hear from Bridget Howard shortly. Partner, this is a good early season matchup. Gonzaga's the preseason favorite out of the West Coast, and Wyoming's expected to contend for a top spot in the Mountain West.
Chris, two very good teams, two different styles of play. Gonzaga's looking to get up and down the court, and the Cowgirls are looking to slow the pace down.
Well, it's a new era for Wyoming women's basketball. The Cowgirls have a first-year head coach. Heather Ezell was elevated when Gerald Mattinson retired in the offseason. And with more on this new era of Cowgirl hoops, we say good evening to Bridget Howard.
Thanks, Chris. I asked Wyoming head coach Heather Ezell what that moment would be like tonight walking out of the tunnel for the first regular season game of her career as the Wyoming head coach. She said it's still a surreal feeling every time I walk out onto the court. We've had a couple exhibition games to get the nerves out, but now it's go time.
Oh, nicely done, Bridget, as we look at tonight's players to watch. A couple of post players, coach, that have success in different ways.
Yes, Chris. Yvonne Jim really gets most of her work done between the foul lines. She is so versatile, she's so athletic, and she's really hard to find in transition. And then, you know what, Allison Fertig, her best, she's most effective below the foul lines and getting the Cowgirls to pound the ball inside to her.
Here's tonight's starting lineups presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming. A lot of experience on both sides. You look at this Gonzaga Bulldogs squad. They're the preseason favorite in the West Coast Conference. They've been to 5 straight NCAA tournaments. The Trong sisters, a very impressive backcourt. A couple of seniors out of Houston, Texas, bolster this starting lineup. We mentioned Yvonne Ejim. She's the reigning WCC Player of the Week. But Eliza Hollingsworth, coach, a redshirt junior, 6'3" from Australia, led them with 17 points last time out in a blowout victory at home over Southern Utah.
High-scoring affair. All of these girls can score the ball. They shoot from the outside. They get up and down in transition. And I tell you what, a very high-powered offense.
Yeah, Gonzaga poured in 91 in a victory Saturday over Southern Utah. 31 points in the opening quarter. Wound up shooting 48% from the field. On the other side, here's Wyoming's starting lineup in the Cowgirls home opener. Some familiar faces back from last season's team. Quinn Weideman, Tommy Olson, 2 fifth-year seniors. Wyoming was elated, to say the least, when they announced in the offseason that they would be using that extra year of eligibility.
Absolutely. You can never have enough returning talent coming back, and I tell you what, there's a lot of pressure on those guards right now, being able to try to contain Gonzaga's high-powered offense.
Let's look at tonight's game plan, driven by Toyota. 4th straight season that these programs have met in non-conference action. So you have to imagine they're a little familiar with the schemes on both sides.
Absolutely, Chris. You know, I think the game plan, the keys to the game for Gonzaga is to speed up the pace of the ball. Sometimes they do get too fast, and there's a high propensity for turnovers. For the Cowgirls, they've got to slow the game down. They've got to try to contain this high-powered offense. More possessions favors the less possessions favors the Cowgirls tonight, and pounding the ball inside to Allison Fertig.
Well, Gonzaga back in this building for the first time in a couple years. Lisa Fortier in her 9th season at the helm of the program. She's taken this Gonzaga women's basketball program to new heights. We mentioned the 5 straight appearances in the Big Dance. She's taken them to the NCAA tournament 6 times, including a Sweet 16 run back in 2015. On the other side, it's a new era, as we mentioned, for Wyoming. Heather Ezell had a terrific career as a guard at Iowa State. She's been an assistant here since 2015, elevated to head coach of the offseason, and she's fired up to lead this Wyoming program.
What a great opportunity. I tell you what, Heather's been here for 7 long years, has paid her dues. Now it's her chance to call the timeouts and to run this program.
So the preseason favorite in the West Coast, Wyoming, preseason pick to finish 4th in the Mountain West. A good early season matchup, and we're glad you're with us tonight from inside the Arena Auditorium. Gonzaga off to a 2-0 start. Wyoming lost its opener last Friday at North Dakota. playing its home opener tonight. Yvonne Ejim to the rim, that's too easy.
That's a difficult matchup for Fertig. She is so active. She's so quick with the ball.
Ejim, the junior from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. She was last season's WCC 6th Woman of the Year. Averaged more than 10 points off the bench for a Gonzaga team that won 27 games and went to the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. Melina Peterson, baseline, has it taken away. Kaylin Trong the steal.
Chris, that's what she does really best. Boy, those Trong sisters are so disruptive on the defensive side of the ball.
It's Kaylin and Kaylee, twin sisters, seniors from Houston. And the jumper rattles out from Kaylee Trong on her first attempt tonight. Now, there's an emphasis for Heather Ezel's club to get going early. Had a slow start, didn't take their first lead in the season opener until about the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, this Gonzaga team, as we mentioned, had 31 first quarter points last time out. And now Michaela Williams gets another takeaway for the Zags.
I really don't think you're going to see the Gonzaga, team get deep into the shot clock. They really like some high ball screens and a lot of guard penetration and quick shots.
And it's Ejim again. This time she goes up and under, and she's got all 4 for the Zags.
And you've got a post player that can catch it on the left block, dribble and get over to the right, side of the rim and score it that quick. It's a hard matchup for a normal big person.
Well, that's a matchup Wyoming wants to take advantage of tonight. The reigning Mountain West Freshman of the Year, Allison Fertig, has the Cowgirls' first points.
Chris, I think that's where the Cowgirls have the advantage. Throwing the ball inside of Fertig. She's got additional size, and she's so big down there, she's going to get a lot of easy baskets.
Trong misfires from the corner, and Grace Ellis grabs the loose ball for Wyoming. Melina drives baseline. Weideman from the corner. An offensive rebound. Peterson missed it. Hollingsworth provided the defense for Gonzaga, and Ejim grabs the rebound. Michaela Williams underneath the foul line, short jump shot, and it's good. Williams, the junior from Los Angeles, had a career high 15 points, knocked down 3 shots from the perimeter last time against Southern Utah. Gonzaga's opened up 3 for 5. Shot clock into single figures. Trong picks up Peterson. She lets it go from the baseline, and it wiggles out.
I really think the Cowgirls are going to look to get that shot clock down into the single digits and really milk the clock each possession.
And there's no question that these two teams have different ideas when it comes to tempo. And Ejim scores again in the low post for Gonzaga.
Cowgirls are going to have to make some adjustment right there. Those are 3 easy baskets for her. And good players, you just can't get them into a rhythm early enough, like that. So
don't be surprised if the Zags double Allison Fertig. We've seen that a lot from Wyoming competition. Some early substitutions on both sides. As you get a look at Ejim's 3rd field goal of the early going.
She's got too early possession. She got too deep in the paint right there early on, and it was just too easy of a basket. Allison Fertig's got to do a little bit more work on the defensive side before the ball gets there.
Ola Ustowska checks in for Wyoming. Gets a low post touch. High off the window. She missed it and couldn't save it in.
On the offensive side of it, Allison Fertig's really having to work. She's got a couple different bodies on her, really keeping her from getting that early, post position deep in the paint.
Foul away from the basketball on Wyoming. It's on Ola Ustowska, the junior from Poland. Trying to recapture a night she had in Spokane last year. These two teams played a close, low-scoring game, a 7-point victory for Gonzaga last season, but Ustowska erupted for a career-best 17 points in the meeting between these programs a year ago. Tommy Olson the steal. A transition chance for the Cowgirls. And Weideman gets fouled on the way up.
Early on, that was one of the keys, I thought, for the Cowgirls is to be opportunistic with those turnovers with the from Gonzaga. Get the easy baskets in transition if you can get them.
How many times in 5 seasons at Wyoming have we seen Tommy Olsen get in the way of an opposition's pass? She's top 15 in program history in steals.
She really has a nose for the ball. She knows how to shoot that gap and just get a hand on it or get that steal.
Heather Rizal, the first-year head coach, in her home opener tonight against a Gonzaga team, preseason favorite in the West Coast, receiving top 25 votes. Brenna Maxwell hits the long 2.
Didn't take her long to get going in that offense, did it?
Graduate transfer from Utah. She was a 2-time All Pac-12 honorable mention with the Utes. The Bulldogs 5 of their first 7 from the field. Olsen down the lane, and it's deflected out by Williams. Hollingsworth and Kaylin Tron check back in. They're going to review that at the next dead ball. For now, it's a 2. And Maxwell's foot was awfully close to the 3-point line. Marta Savic has checked in for Wyoming. Shot clock dwindling. Grace Ellis off the window and in.
Great possession for the Cowgirls. High percentage shot, milked the clock, and just cutting down on the number of possessions in this game. Chris, I think on the defensive side of things for the Cowgirls, I think the Cowgirls might switch up and just start doing a little bit of zone. Gonzaga's getting too many high percentage looks and high percentage baskets.
Well, they just missed a high percentage look. Quinn Weideman buries the 3.
It's a big bucket for the Cowgirls. They really needed that open look.
5-point swing if you look at it that way, with the missed layup on one end and the made 3 on the other. Cowgirls within 2. And another steal. Weideman ties the game with the layup.
Chris, sometimes, we said this early on in the pregame, Gonzaga gets going and gets a little bit careless with that ball, and it gives opportunities for the Cowgirls to get some easy baskets on the turnover.
10s on the board. Wyoming has scored 7 straight. Trong picked up by Olsen. Hybens, a long jumper, and she uses the glass to get it to go.
And the look on her face, I'm quite certain she didn't call that.
First points for Maud Hybens, the sophomore from the Netherlands. And a foul on Gonzaga will send us to our first timeout tonight. Quinn Weideman, 6 early points for Wyoming. Gonzaga by 2 in the opening quarter. Opening quarter from Laramie. Gonzaga leads Wyoming 13-10 with a little more than 3 minutes on the opening quarter clock. Wyoming, they call this place the Dome of Doom for a reason. It hasn't been easy for opponents to come in here and beat the Cowgirls. In fact, over the last 7 seasons, an 84-23 record put together by Wyoming at home. And with more on the Cowgirls' success inside the friendly confines, we check in with Bridget Howard.
Thanks, Chris. Heather Ezell told me before the game, this home court advantage is something that they really value. She said, protecting this home court is everything to us. We wish we could get that type of competitiveness that we play with at home on the road, but we'll address that later. She said, loves when we get to play at home and the whole community gets the support. But Tommy Olson said, defending our home court is very important. Playing here has a lot of value for us.
Wyoming here in their home opener, trying to beat Gonzaga for the first time since the early 90s, and trying to beat the Zags in this building for the first time ever. Bulldogs are 4-0 against Wyoming in games played at this venue. By the way, at that last timeout, the officials reviewed the long jump shot from Brenna Maxwell and overturned it from a 2 to a 3. So that's where Gonzaga got the extra point at our first timeout tonight. Late in the clock again for the Cowgirls. Weideman missed it. Savic put back.
Great post position in there by Savic. She just got underneath the defense and got that offensive rebound and the putback. But that was set up. I think the Cowgirls getting late in the shot clock. And you know what? Not necessarily the best shot that they could have got out of the offense, and got lucky to get a bucket.
Well, Gonzaga was plus 11 on the glass last time out against Southern Utah. Wyoming happy to get the second chance points when they've got those opportunities. Ustowska straight on. Way off. Zags have opened 6 of 11 from the field. Emily Melema whistled for the reach-in foul. Mentioned this is the 4th straight season these programs have met in non-conference action. 8th all-time meeting. Wyoming's lone victory just before the late 90s, or rather the early 90s, in the late 80s, November of 1989. That was a neutral site game played in Idaho.
Been a little bit of a dry spell for the Cowgirls in this series.
Ejim falling away and misses.
Really good defense by Allison Fertig. She stayed with the ball and she contested that shot at the end, made it a little bit harder and got the miss.
Cowgirls have another chance at their first opening quarter lead. Melema across the lane. Fertig, Ejim on the floor to get it. Ustowska's in there as well. And the possession arrow keeps it with the Cowgirls. They have 10 to shoot. Now Gonzaga opening up a stretch of 4 straight away from Spokane. From here, the Bulldogs will head to the Bahamas. Play 7th-ranked Louisville over the weekend as you get a look at the scrum.
Chris, prior to that scrum, I think Melma gets the ball on the block. She's got to get that ball up on the glass. She's got to get a shot out of that.
Melina Peterson picked up by Michaela Williams. Into the paint and lays it in.
Tough shot. Traffic, and she got that ball up there and got the nice roll.
Trong goes up and under. She misses. Ejim tears it away and lays it in. So Yvonne Ejim, already 8 first quarter points for the reigning West Coast Player of the Week. About a half second separates shot clock from game clock. Into Peterson, and she misses the southpaw flip. Trong for three, and it misses everything. That's how the opening quarter comes to an end tonight in Laramie, Wyoming. 15-14. Gonzaga after 10 minutes of hoop from inside the arena auditorium.
Well, considering the start of this game.
Wyoming Basketball on the Mountain West Network is presented by Rocky Mountain Ford Dealers, built Ford tough and Wyoming strong. Uniwyo Credit Union, exclusive credit union of Wyoming Athletics. Ridley's Family Markets, the official supermarket of Wyoming Athletics, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming, supporting UW and fans like you. Wyoming together.
Glad you're with us on a Tuesday night from Laramie, Wyoming. Gonzaga 15-14 over the host Wyoming Cowgirls after the opening quarter. Easy to connect the dots when you see that Muma last name. That's Peyton Muma, a redshirt freshman from Highlands Ranch in Colorado. Younger sister of former Wyoming linebacker Chad Muma, now a rookie with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Muma family in attendance tonight.
And her dad, Ty Muma, was an outstanding football player here for the Cowboys. So great to see them back in there. I just kind of wish that she was in a Cowgirl uniform instead of a Gonzaga one.
I'm sure a special opportunity for her to come and play where her family has left the legacy. Late in the clock here for Gonzaga, and Trong throws it away.
Excellent heads-up play by Allison Ferdig late in the shot clock. She didn't leave the ball, and she contested that shot. Got a great stop for the Cowgirls.
Well, in 3 seasons under Gerald Mattinson, who retired in the offseason, Wyoming, they prided themselves on defense. That doesn't change with Heather Ezell taking over, and it's clear that the Cowgirls have made some early adjustments here against Gonzaga.
They have. You know, Gonzaga started out 5 of the first 7 possessions they scored on. Then they went 2 of 8 in, to finish the quarter. And so the Cowgirls did make some adjustments and made it a little bit harder for Gonzaga's to get some shots.
Maxwell falling away.
Case in point right there, Chris. That's a bad shot because that's great Cowgirl defense.
Quinn Weideman led the way in that opening quarter at 6 points for Wyoming. Tess Barnes with 10 on the timer. Peterson lays it in.
Strong move, good finish.
Callie Stokes tried to take that charge outside the restricted area. And Wyoming has a 1-point lead. First points of the night for Melina Peterson who led Wyoming with 14 points in the season opening loss at North Dakota. She's a transfer from Kansas State. Hybens off the glass and good.
You know, Chris, sometimes I think, you know, when you want to play faster tempo and you're playing against a team that really is going to take the air out of the ball and long possessions make you play a lot of defense, sometimes you do get a little frustrated, and sometimes that leads to some, you know, some tougher shot selection. But that was a great possession by Gonzaga, high percentage shot, and a really nice play on the offensive side of things.
Fertig catches, couldn't finish, late whistle and a foul. So Allison Fertig, who was limited in that opening quarter, had just 2 points. She'll take her first free throws of the night as Mellema and Ellis check back in. Oh, what a freshman first impression Allison Fertig left on Wyoming and the rest of the Mountain West. She was the conference freshman of the year, posted 10 double-doubles last season.
Chris, extremely hard for any high school senior to step in their freshman year and to have the year that she had last year, much less, you know, a Wyoming girl stepping in here, you know, for the, you know, the hometown Cowgirls and doing what she did. She's a huge part of their success last year, and then, you know, for the success of this program moving forward.
Allison Fertig from Glendo here in Wyoming, and whistled for the foul. Let's check in with Bridget Howard.
Thanks, guys. Heather Rizal told me earlier today that Allison, as a sophomore, got a handful of votes in the captain's voting ahead of the season. She wasn't named captain, but head coach Heather Rizal said, just because you weren't named captain doesn't mean your voice ends here. Tommy Olson told me earlier today as well that the biggest change she's seen in Allison Fertig is that she's got more confidence and she's definitely becoming more of a vocal leader this year.
Good stuff, Bridget. Easy to see why Allison Fertig is well respected among her teammates. Olson in some trouble, and possession arrow. Home fans don't like it, but it will stay with Wyoming.
Chris, I'm not sure where she got that ball tied up.
If they ever were tied up, it was for a very short amount of time. Tommy Olson's open. Olson went scoreless in 22 minutes Friday in Grand Forks against the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Wyoming lost that game 67-55. They took their first lead of the game with 5 minutes left, but North Dakota closed regulation on a 15-2 run. Trong switches hands as she knocks over Mellema, and the finger roll goes.
Beautiful, strong finish at the rim. I tell you what, she did a fantastic job switching hands. Very skilled offensive player.
Bulldogs back up 2. Mellema has it ripped out of her hands, and it stays with Wyoming. Eliza Hollingsworth is back in, replacing Callie Stokes. Grace Ellis lets it fly and buries the 3.
Big basket for the Cowgirls. Really needed that bucket right there to stop a little bit of momentum that Gonzaga's built up.
Second first half triple for Wyoming. And a good sign for Ellis, who shot just 17% from the three-point line last season. Ejim, so comfortable off the bounce.
That's the first play they ran out to start the game. That is a really hard matchup for Allison Fertig out there on at the free throw line.
Ejim soars into double figures early in this one, 10 points. Mellema puts it behind her back. Shot clock dwindling. Fertig missed it. Ejim making things happen on both ends for Gonzaga. Trong misses the teardrop. Hollingsworth has it knocked loose. And another tie-up. Gonzaga keeps it.
Now that legitimately was tied up there, but the previous one, I didn't see it.
Allison Ferdig, Tommy Olson to the bench, Marta Savic, and Ola Ustauska back in there for Heather Ezell. Michaela Williams picked up by Ustauska. Trong fades, fires, and fills it up. First point of the night for Kaylin Trong. Gonzaga up 3. Melema all the way.
The Cowgirls surprisingly have been able to get into the paint and get to the rim on penetration. That has been, I thought, you know, Gonzaga would be able to contain them a little bit more on the perimeter, but that's a huge part for the Cowgirls to get some easy baskets that way.
Michaela Williams looking for space. Trong, foul line, it's good. Back-to-back buckets for Kaylin Trong.
She's getting going right now. I tell you what, good players, all you have to do is get them in a good position on the court and give them the ball, and they go make the rest of it. They get the basket for you, and that's exactly what she's done the last 2 possessions.
Kaylin Trong tonight, her 90th career game at Gonzaga as Savic scores. Wyoming really, they like what they have with the 2 bigs, Ferdig in the starting lineup and bringing Marta Savic off the bench.
And they really haven't settled for very many threes.
Well, Eliza Hollingsworth hits her first 3 of the night. Hit 2 of them last time against Southern Utah. And Gonzaga goes up 4. Ellis. It wiggles in.
Touch, what a soft touch on that ball.
Lisa Fortier takes a timeout. That's been a teeter-totter opening half from inside the arena auditorium. Gonzaga leads Wyoming by 2. Final few minutes of the opening half. Gonzaga visiting Wyoming tonight. Early season college hoops out west. Bulldogs have been led by Yvonne Ejim in the early going. She's the reigning WCC Player of the Week. Had 16 points last time out against Southern Utah after dropping 22 in the opener. And she's the first player into double figures tonight. She's got 10 in the opening half.
Oh, they went right to her the very first play of the game, and they continue to go back to her when she's in the ball game. And I tell you, it's just a tough matchup for Allison Ferdig. She needs to get a little bit more help from, her teammates to, to help on that dribble, because Jim is just too quick.
Well, with Ejim on the bench, Wyoming would like to limit Gonzaga on this end. Bulldogs at 50% from the floor. Inside of 3 minutes first half. Kaylin Trong walled off. Here's Williams. Michaela Williams. Out to Kaylee Trong, and that's a shot clock violation. Excellent defense out of the timeout from the Cowgirls.
Fantastic defense. Grace Ellis, very heads-up play. She switched that ball screen late in the shot clock, didn't leave the ball, and didn't let him get a shot off.
Wyoming against some light full court pressure. Ustowska hard off the heel and tapped out by Hollingsworth. It's going to stay here with Wyoming. But right now there's a little more size on the floor for Gonzaga. Cowgirls try and get some open looks from the outside as they did moments ago. Ellis, strong move, left it short. Kaylee Trong down the lane, rejected by Savic. Here comes Weideman. 3 for the lead. That's good.
Chris, I was just about ready to say this is the lineup that Quinn Weideman really needs to step up, in their senior leadership and really come up with some big baskets or some big turnovers. And she did. She did just that.
Second first half tray for Weideman, and the third for the Cowgirls. Williams goes baseline, up and under. It's deflected. And Savic makes another play on defense in the low post.
The last 2 times she's gone straight up and there's been a little bit of contact, but she's held her ground. That's not a foul.
Final 80 seconds of this opening half. Grace Ellis backs her way in and leaves it short. Hybens clears. Gonzaga can go 2 for 1 down the stretch, and Trong draws the foul. All right, stay with us at halftime. Sit down with Heather Ezell, the first-year head coach. First half highlights and stats, and Coach Steve Gosar's keys to the second half. First Gonzaga free throws of the night come with 54 seconds left in the second quarter. Gonzaga shot 19 free throws last time in a 91-38 win over Southern Utah at home. And the Bulldogs up 1.
That's some full court pressure again right now with Gonzaga trying to speed this game up and get maybe a couple extra possessions here late in the first half.
Weideman's feeling it. And it's in and out.
I think that's exactly what Gonzaga wanted. Speed up the game a little bit, entice them to take an early 3.
Ejim, capable three-point shooter, but misses everything on the corner attempt. And now Wyo can hold for the half's final take. Melema picked up by Michaela Williams. Emily Melema, the Lyndon, Washington native. Down the lane, lays it in.
Boy, big basket for the Cowgirls late in the half here.
Strong's half-court heave is no good. So Wyoming, after 20 minutes, a 1-point lead over WCC favorite Gonzaga.
Coach Zell couldn't have asked for a better first half from the Cowgirls. Fantastic defense, great shot selection, and they milked the clock and cut down on the number of possessions.
That Melima layup gives the Cowgirls a halftime advantage, and Bridget Howard is with Heather Azell.
Thanks, guys. Coach, you're able to find some success in the paint in that first half. What have you seen so far from your group offensively that you've really liked?
We're just playing with really great pace. We talked about before the game, catching the ball, seeing the rim first, looking inside, letting our action happen. Once we get some really good screens, we found some success to be able to get the ball inside to our posts.
Marta Savic has been getting it done on the offensive and defensive side of things. What stands out to you about her play right now?
Right now, she's just playing hard, and you got to give her credit because now she's playing for extended minutes, which is something we've challenged her to do. And if we can continue to get her to play 4 or 5 minute stretches, things will work well for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, Heather Azell in her home opener, the first-year Cowgirl head coach. Wyoming puts together a nice 20-minute stretch to take this halftime lead.
Fantastic first half for the Cowgirls. I thought they played their style of play and kept Gonzaga from playing the way they want to play. We hit some big shots, and they got some easy baskets, you know, by pounding the ball into the paint.
Late night hoops out west. Wyoming 31, Gonzaga 30. We have reached the half in Laramie. At the break from the highest altitude in college basketball, Wyoming leads WCC favorite Gonzaga 31-30 at the break. Lots to be excited about with this new era of Cowgirl hoops. Heather Azell, the first-year head coach. Kevin McKinney sat down with the new Cowgirl leader as we get to know Heather Azell, the Cowgirls' first-year head coach.
Heather, having head coach by your name, what a dream come true. But I'm not sure everybody realizes how much hard work is involved in that road. You got to be very proud and very excited.
Super excited, obviously. Been something, of course, that I felt like I've really put the work into, but it's always been a dream, and you know, never anything's guaranteed. So it's just always exciting when it finally happens, and you know, it's like a kid in a candy store. You're just super excited about it.
Highly decorated in college, with pro, outstanding basketball player. Was basketball always going to be your sport?
It was. I mean, for me, I always had that dream of playing. I do remember the conversation in high school that my mom had with me that was like, do you have a backup plan? And I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. And she's like, maybe we should create one. And I kept telling her no. And she later apologized to me that later, like, you didn't need a backup plan. You had this dream and you have been able to do it.
Who got you going in basketball? How did it start?
You know, it's funny. I remember doing like YMCA, doing all the sports, playing, you know, and the memory for basketball for me has always stuck out more than any other sport. And it was, you know, the Saturday mornings at the YMCA. And we had an all-girls team playing against all the boys. And I have that vivid memory of walking there with my dad and my mom in the mornings. And that was just something that has stuck out to me. And ever since that, I think basketball's been what I've been doing.
You probably won a lot of those YMCA games, I'll bet.
I'm sure we probably did.
Who did you idolize when you were growing up?
Oh gosh, growing up in Springfield, Missouri, at the time it was SMS, Missouri State, but watching them, they were really, really good at that time. In 1992, I think they made the Final Four, so I was a little kid watching, and there was players on that I still, Melody Howard, Jackie Stiles, that I remember watching as a kid, and that's who I watched on a consistent basis and just grew up around that team. So anybody from that team, I would have been like, yep, I want to be them.
You know, you take little bits and pieces from everybody in your experience. How would you describe your coaching style?
I think I'm going to be a teacher of the game, very hands-on in the sense of teaching it. When a kid messes up, they know they messed up. I don't need to make it a big deal and, hey, you turned the ball over. Yeah, they know they turned the ball over. It's more now teaching how can we be better and how can we not continue to do that in the future, and just being able to have that voice of confidence towards them, you know, giving them as much as I can of, hey, you can do this, I've seen you do it, and so just being that teacher, that confidant for them.
This is always a doozy of a question, but how do you see this program down the road here, say 3 to 5 years?
I hope there's a few more banners hanging up there. That's obviously the big picture of it, but just continuing the success, graduating great student athletes and women that go on to be successful in their lives and their careers, wherever that might be. But just keep getting those players that love Wyoming, want to be here, and are going to leave everything they have on that court, and like I said, hopefully hang a few more banners.
Well, what a first win this would be for Wyoming first-year head coach Heather Ezell. Her Cowgirls lead the WCC favorite Gonzaga Bulldogs 31-30 at the break. Back with highlights and stats after this. Well, 31-30, Wyoming over Gonzaga after 2 quarters of hoop on a Tuesday night in Laramie. Glad you're with us alongside the former college basketball coach, Steve Gosar, Chris Sylvester on hand. And nothing too surprising from the opening 20 minutes. 2 teams expected to contend for conference titles, and both look about evenly matched through 2 quarters tonight.
Both teams going right to their stars, getting the early touches and getting early baskets from them. And I tell you, if you're the Cowgirls, you got to love the pace of this game, and you got to love the number of possessions. They've really cut it down in the first half.
Well, 9 lead changes and 2 ties through the opening 20 minutes tonight as we take a look at our first half highlights. Presented by Rocky Mountain Ford Dealers. We mentioned teeter-totter affair through 20 minutes. Both teams having success scoring the basketball in the painted area.
Allison Fertig getting some high percentage shot right down there. And really, the Cowgirls, Grace Ellison did a fantastic job of giving a couple of buckets off the bench.
Well, Yvonne Ejim got off to a quick start, the reigning WCC Player of the Week. Leads all scorers with 10 at the break, but Quinn Weideman making things happen for Wyoming on offense. She's got 9 points, hit a couple of threes in that first half.
She did a fantastic job stepping up when the Cowgirls needed her to get some scoring for them. And I tell you, that's what you hope you get from your seniors is good, big baskets when you need them.
Well, Yvonne Ejim able to get some early buckets, but down the stretch of that first half, Wyoming's defense made things tougher on her.
Yeah. Well, I think, Allison Fertig was going to get a little bit more help from the perimeter. And I think early on, they were so conscious to make sure that, Gonzaga's perimeter didn't get open threes. And so they left her out on an island and said, hey, Jim's going to have to just score over the top of you. Well, she does that, and she does that well. And I think, as a good adjustment, Coach Azell started dropping those guards down to help out a little bit.
Quinn Weideman had fast break points as well, in addition to the 2 trays in that opening half. Not afraid to pull the trigger, the 5th-year senior that has had a ton of success in the brown and gold. The first half statistics. Here's how they look after 20 minutes of hoop. Only 2 triples for Gonzaga. That's what really stands out to me when I see the first half numbers. They hit 12 of them in their most recent game against Southern Utah.
I assumed they would be playing a little bit faster, taking a few more threes, but I think they've been a little bit frustrated because they can't speed up the Cowgirls, and this game is played at the Cowgirl pace.
Well, Wyoming up a point at the half despite Allison Fertig held to just 3 first half points. How did the Cowgirls get her more involved in the second half to try and finish this one off?
Well, slow the game down, let her get between the foul lines and get below the foul lines. I think that's a big, big key. And just be patient. It's going to take her a little bit of time before she gets a good touch or a good paint positioning. But once they do, they're going to get a high percentage shot.
Well, it should be a final 20 minutes full of fun inside Arena Auditorium. 1-point game at the break. Wyoming leads Gonzaga. We're back with the 3rd quarter after this. Getting ready for the start of the second half from inside the arena auditorium. Home opener for the Wyoming Cowgirls, up 1 over Gonzaga. Let's check in with Bridget Howard.
Thanks, Chris. I caught up with Lisa, 48 Gonzaga head coach, at the half. I asked her, Coach, Wyoming really got the pace going towards the end of that first half. What has to change defensively? She said, right now we've just got to move our feet. They're dribbling right past us, and it looks like we're just stuck in the mud. I asked her about Yvonne Ejim and the great first half that she had. She said, yeah, she's done great, but it's more so how can we get the ball to her more? They don't have much of an answer for her right now, so let's try to get Ejim more involved and get her some more points on the board.
Oh, good stuff, Bridget. Gonzaga's defense, it's been dominant out of the gate, holding opponents under 60 points in the first 2 games. You see these percentages from Gonzaga's first 2 opponents, Long Beach State and Southern Utah. Wyoming, they have flipped the script through one half, shooting near 50% from the floor.
Well, this is a veteran ball club with the Cowgirls. There's a lot of offense, a lot of, you know, good shooting that came back from last year's team, and I didn't expect that they would take bad shots.
Grace Ellis pulls the trigger out of halftime and hits her second 3 tonight.
Speaking of great shots right there, she had a wide open 3 from the top of the key and knocked it down.
So Grace Ellis has hit 2 of Wyoming's 4 makes from above the arc. This is the largest lead for the Cowgirls. And Yvonne Ejim opens Gonzaga's second half scoring. She's got a dozen.
That was just a beautiful pass by Trong. She just threw that ball right by Olsen's ear.
Allison Ferdig, her second field goal tonight. Ferdig limited to just 3 points in that first half, but Marta Savage, in her absence, played very well.
She did. She came in and gave the Cowgirls some great minutes in that first half.
Kaylee Trong draws the reach-in foul on Wyoming's Tommy Olsen. Speaking of statistics and things we saw in those opening 20 minutes, how about just a combined 7 fouls between these teams?
Honestly, I loved how it was officiated. They let the girls play and get into a nice flow of the game. They didn't call too much, and there really wasn't that many fouls.
Williams misses the short jumper. We've got another jump ball here inside the AA, and Gonzaga keeps it.
Great hustle by Quinn Weideman just to get on that floor, not to try to pick it up.
We may have more jump balls than fouls tonight, Coach.
I think it's about even right now.
About even.
Gonna have to help right here.
Ejim with the blow-by and finish high off the glass.
The Cowgirls got to do something. That's just too easy of a basket. She's gone, and I think, you know what, when we were talking with, you know, Coach Fortier, where they were going to get the touches, you know, for Ejim, it's in that high post. Right now, she is so effective. I don't think she's missed every time she's caught it in the high post.
Gonzaga, as we mentioned, a 27-win team a season ago, went to the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. And somehow, Yvonne Ejim didn't crack that starting lineup. Quinn Weideman, a corner 3.
Poor defense on Gonzaga's part. They just lost her on the out-of-bounds play. She had a wide-open 3 in the corner.
And a quick response from Gonzaga as Kaylee Trong lays it in.
Now, this second half is starting to show like there is some quicker possessions, and this is going to favor Gonzaga eventually.
The Cowgirl lead is 2. Ellis had it deflected by Hollingsworth, and Williams able to save it. Ejim from the foul line.
Chris, that's the shot, you know, I would be comfortable with if I'm Coach Azell. And maybe get Allison Ferdig to sit off of her a little bit and just give her that open shot, because we know what she can do when she can put it on the deck.
Yvonne Ejim whistled for the reach-in foul. Last season's WCC 6th Woman of the Year. Put in more than 10 points a game, more than 5.5 rebounds off the bench. And you want to win games in the NCAA tournament, you have to have that type of talent coming off the bench.
Absolutely. I tell you, you know, when you look at these really good teams, they're not just 5, you know, the starting 5. They are 6, 7, and 8 deep in their talent pool.
Tommy Olsen hit with another personal foul. That's her second. Savic and Melema back in for Wyoming. Ejim along with Kaylin Trong and Eliza Hollingsworth head to the bench for Gonzaga.
Let's see if Maxwell can get a shot off, you know, any quicker than she did the first go around. I mean, I don't think there was 3 seconds off the clock and she got a 3-ball up the last time.
I don't think they had officially logged her into the game yet. Another foul. This one's on Emily Melema. Maxwell, quick trigger. Ellis grabs the rebound for Wyoming. Brenna Maxwell, the graduate transfer from Utah, 2-time All Pac-12 honorable mention. Bulldogs excited to have her scoring abilities coming off the bench this season. A tough take from Weideman. Trong provided the defense, and the loose ball grabbed by Stokes.
Looked like there was part of, you know, Weideman's arm on that shot too.
Kaylee Trong, a circus shot. She misses. Hybens, the offensive rebound. She misses the putback. And Williams grabs another offensive board for Gonzaga. A third chance this trip down for the Bulldogs.
And this one is what happens when when Allison Ferdig's not in the game. Those, Gonzaga's going to get, a second and a third shot.
Callie Stokes whistled for the over-the-back foul. It's going the other way. Wyoming able to bust past the full court pressure.
And Chris, I like this move by Coach Fortier. Give the Cowgirls just a little bit of something to think about at the half court and not have to guard their offense so much.
Williams all the way. And a foul called.
Beautiful Euro in transition. That's so hard to guard. And, the defense was set up and she knew it. She stepped through it, got a good look and got the foul.
Kayla Williams, 2 points in 18 minutes tonight. Just Gonzaga's third free throw of the game.
Chris, this pace is Gonzaga's pace. This is where they want it. They don't want to sit down and have to guard for most of the shot clock. I think the Cowgirls got to get back to grinding that ball, throwing it inside, getting a high percentage shot. This is a big possession right here.
Yvonne Ejim, after a short rest, is back in, as is Tommy Olson for Wyoming.
A little bit different look here. You got some face guarding here on the full court pressure by Gonzaga.
Grace Ellis draws the reach-in foul, and that's on Ejim. Second of the night on Yvonne Ejim.
She's formidable down on the block, but I tell you what, in the full court on that press, she can really move. She can guard the ball. She's a real force in that press.
Weideman down the end line and draws another foul.
Is that number 3?
Yeah, all 3 of them here in the third quarter.
That is huge for the Cowgirls. I tell you what, she is the one real bright spot on the offensive side that the Cowgirls really don't have an answer for.
Wyoming was kind of in this predicament in their season opener with Allison Ferdig, who played just 15 minutes last Friday at North Dakota, finished with 9 points, 10 rebounds, but fouled out of the game. Couple makes at the foul stripe for Weideman. And she's got a baker's dozen in the point column tonight. Maxwell, short jumper. Savic is there. Nice bounce pass. Ellis off the window and in.
Wow, what a pass by Quinn Weideman. I tell you what, she threaded the needle with a dime right there.
Wyo has opened up a 5-point lead. Largest for the Cowgirls tonight. Trong flips it up. Back rim, no. Another rebound for Grace Ellis. Weideman all the way. And another foul against Gonzaga.
Great penetration by Weideman caused the interior defense to attack penetration left Savic on the backside for an offensive rebound.
Wyoming, largest lead of the night for the Cowgirls, up 5 over the Zags. Well, Wyoming has put together a strong start to the third quarter. Cowgirls lead the Gonzaga Bulldogs 42-37. Ridley's Family Market. Save time, shop online, the official grocery store of Wyoming Athletics. We've got some love for Denmark in the house. One of Wyoming's newcomers on this season's roster, the K-State transfer, Melina Peterson, a native of Denmark. She's played with the Denmark national team, led Wyoming with 14 points on opening day at North Dakota. And the home fans making her feel at home here in Wyoming's home opener.
A welcomed addition to the Cowgirls. I tell you, she's done some really good things on the offensive side of things, getting to the rim and scoring. I didn't know she had that in her, and especially in this, against Gonzaga, they are a very athletic perimeter. She went right by and really got some easy shots.
Well, Wyoming's in the bonus now. Marta Savic, a couple of foul line shots, knocks them both down out of the timeout. And the lead has ballooned to 7. Coach, Gonzaga had 31 points at the end of the first quarter in their last game. They're stuck at 37 more than halfway through tonight's third quarter as Stokes misses the layup. Hollingsworth, the offensive rebound. Has to go somewhere. She flips it up and misses.
Chris, I tell you, the game has sped up and the Cowgirls have extended the lead. And I tell you, they're into a really good offensive flow right now, and you can see it. They're getting really good shots.
Tommy Olsen underneath the basket, skips it out. Ooh, Stauska. Olsen, the offensive rebound. Saved into Savic. I don't know how this is still with Wyoming. Savic, soft touch, and it wiggled out.
That would have been a huge basket. I don't know how Tommy Olsen, there was 4 Gonzaga players down there. She's the smallest one on the court, and she got the rebound.
Is this another tie-up? Yes, it is. And this time it's headed back to Wyoming.
Surprise, surprise. Another tie-up.
Allison Ferdig, Tess Barnes for Grace Ellis and Marta Savic. Nice ovation for Savic. Mentioned Ola Ustowska and her career night in Spokane against Gonzaga last year. Hit 4 threes. Career best 17 points. Trying to find a little bit of that in this one.
Chris, huge opportunity here. Allison Ferdigan, Jim is on the bench with 3 fouls. I think the Cowgirls got to throw it into the paint and get a high percentage shot if they can.
Just the 8th Wyoming turnover of the night. And it's not like Gonzaga has plagued themselves too many times. I mean, they've only turned over the basketball 4 times, but it's Wyoming's defense that's held them to south of 40% from the field. Hollingsworth, a much-needed triple for Gonzaga, her second tonight. Just Gonzaga's 3rd make, had 12 made threes in their last game.
Allison Ferdig is posted up outside the paint. She's got to do a better job early in the offense. As that ball comes back around, she's got to, anticipate and get 2 feet in the paint. It's going to lead to a higher percentage shot, but she's sitting off the block too far, and the Cowgirls, they could throw it to her, but that's not where she's most effective.
Well, with Wyo in the bonus, Weideman will take 2 free throws. Had a lot of success in these situations last season. An 88% clip at the foul line a year ago. 5th-year senior from Omaha in her 118th game as a Cowgirl tonight.
What a career. I tell you, she has been so wonderful for the Cowgirls. Just steady, outside, shooting, great defense, and, amazing leadership for the Cowgirls.
See if the Zags can put together back-to-back buckets. Just one of their last 10 from the floor as Tommy Olsen picks up her 3rd foul. Gonzaga now in the bonus. And so Kaylee Trong will take 2 free throws. See Olsen trying to fight around the E-Jim screen, and that's where she gets called for the foul.
E-Jim back with 3 fouls. Big substitution right now, and Coach Fortier may feel like, this is important, possessions right now as they finish out this 3rd quarter.
Kaylee Trong, 2-time All-Conference selection. First team All-WCC last season. Poured in more than 11 points per game. And gets Gonzaga within 4. Ustowska with a running right-hand hook. Strong left-hand layup off the window and in. And
that's not good for the Cowgirls.
No, it's not. Ferdig in some obvious pain.
Chris, I didn't see what happened at the end of that play where she got injured.
She goes to contest that layup. You see it lands on the foot of Kaylin Trong. And Ferdig, with some assistance, doesn't appear to be able to put much weight on that left ankle.
Cowgirls have to hope that she can get back into this game and be as effective as she was up to this point.
So Marta Savic, who has played very well when Ferdig's been on the bench tonight, Her roll's going to increase here down the stretch.
Gonzaga has quietly cut this to a 2-point game right now.
Wyoming's lead as large as 7 in this third quarter. Savic, mid-post, puts it on the deck. Barnes finds Peterson. Late in the clock. Peterson has to flip it up, and it didn't hit the rim, but a foul was called, and the officials may review whether or not the foul occurred before the shot clock expired.
Chris, if that is a foul, that happened before the shot clock went off.
And you can see the right foot of Michaela Williams getting tangled up as Peterson attempted that shot. So the officials will head over to the monitor to get another look at it.
And really very fortunate for the Cowgirls to get that foul right here late in the shot clock. They didn't really have a good look.
Well, we'll see what they decide on the other side. Wyoming up 2 late in the third quarter at home. Tight game late third quarter. Wyoming leads Gonzaga 46-44. The University of Wyoming College of Engineering and Physical Sciences, bucking the system since 1886. Find your future at uwyo.edu/CEAS. Glad you're with us tonight. Late night hoops on a Tuesday in Laramie, Wyoming at 7,220 feet. The highest elevated arena in college hoops. Chris Sylvester alongside the coach, Steve Gosar, Bridget Howard, our entire crew. This is what the officials were looking at during that last dead ball timeout. Did the foul occur before the shot clock expired? And upon further review, it did. So Melina Peterson will be at the foul line attempting 2 free throws for Wyoming.
Fortunate for the Cowgirls. Really, didn't get a whole lot of, good looks out of the offense. Late in the shot clock, they were very fortunate to get a foul so they can get to the foul line.
So Peterson, who redshirted last season at Kansas State, rehabbing back from an injury, joined the Cowgirls in the offseason. And splits the pair out of the timeout. Wyoming led by a point at the break. Up 3 in the final 90 seconds of the third. We've got a foul away from the basketball on Savic. Both teams in the bonus. Yvonne Ejim will take 2 free throws.
Boy, Ejim was working down there for good post position, and she really had it. She was just waiting for the ball. Really not a bad foul. That was going to save a bucket, to be honest with you. If they could have got it in there, Savic actually saved probably a bucket.
Ejim misses both, but Michaela Williams quick to grab the miss.
That's just uncharacteristic of the Cowgirls to give up an offensive rebound out of that free throw.
Hollingsworth late in the clock. Lost the handle and stepped out. Another frustrating trip down the floor for Gonzaga against that Wyoming defense.
Great defense by Tess Barnes. She moved her feet, stayed in front of her, caused her to turn the ball over.
Again, Wyoming works past the full court pressure. Tommy Olson rejected by Hollingsworth, and she saves it into Kaylin Trong. Here's Kaylee Trong with the layup.
Gonzaga's getting something out of that three-quarter court, half-court trap. They really are. They're speeding up the Cowgirls. They're not having to guard the Cowgirls as much in the half court, which, you know, the Cowgirls have shown they can score that way.
Bridget Howard has an update on Wyoming's Allison Ferdig.
Yeah, when Allison Ferdig came off the court, she was clearly in some pain. She went up into the tunnel. The Cowgirls trainer was checking her out. They ended up retaping that left ankle, and Allison Ferdig has since come back out onto the court. She's now sitting on the bench, so a good sign for the Cowgirls.
Zags have a chance to take a lead into the fourth quarter. Ejim to the corner. Williams. No good. Not sure it would have counted anyway. And so after all that, these teams play an even third quarter in Laramie. Wyoming 47-46 over Gonzaga. We've got the fourth quarter next.
Wyoming basketball on the Mountain West Network is presented by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Wyoming Athletics, Adidas, official apparel provider for Wyoming Athletics, Cheyenne Regional Medical Center, your partner in health, and Union Wireless, ruling the Wyoming landscape.
Buckle up. Start of the fourth quarter in Laramie. Wyoming a 1-point lead over Gonzaga with 10 minutes left to play in regulation. It's a busy weekend around these parts. Wyoming football hosting Boise State Saturday at 5 p.m. in War Memorial Stadium. For tickets, visit gowyo.com/tickets. First place on the line in the Mountain West Mountain Division. Boise State perfect with a 6-0 conference record. But Wyoming with the win this weekend, they pull into a first-place tie and get that ever so important tiebreaker over the Broncos.
Absolutely, it's a huge game, and hey, this is what you want. You want to be playing for an important game late in the year.
Gonzaga gets an open 3 to start the 4th. Trong misses, but an offensive rebound and putback puts the Zags up 1.
You know, it's really not been the very first shot that's been hurting the Cowgirls. It's that second and third shot that have been the ones that have been the dagger.
Maud Hybens now with 6 points off the bench.
Good to see Allison Fertig back in the game. The Cowgirls really need her presence down low.
Now Fertig working on 2 defenders. What's that, Coach? Have we seen that a time or two tonight?
It's like a broken record.
Possession arrow keeps it with Wyoming, but the Cowgirls have just 5 to shoot.
You know, and I'll say this, Chris, hey, that's really good defense. You know, instead of committing a foul, we're getting jump balls. You know, the defense is really playing smart.
Well, that time the Zags brought the triple team, and they get the takeaway. Gonzaga's first lead of the second half. Stokes, high arcing 3. She missed it. Kaylin Trong grabs the offensive rebound. Kaylee Trong draws the foul.
Once again, that offensive rebound is really hurting the Cowgirls. It's not the first shot that's getting them, it's that second and third one. And we really got to do a better job of cleaning that glass up.
Oh, the foul on Fertig, her second, and after a short burst, Heather Ezell puts her back on the bench.
She's probably going to get back over there on the bike and keep that ankle nice and loose and get ready to be back in the game.
Zags up 3, and Yvonne Ejim will check back in, replacing Eliza Hollingsworth. Tommy Olsen to the Wyoming bench. Emily Melema checks back in for the Cowgirls.
Chris, you really feel like Gonzaga's waking up right now. Honestly, they're talking to each other on the court, encouraging each other that we didn't really see in the first half.
Tess Barnes, an offensive rebound for Peterson. Well, with no Fertig and no Savic on the floor, these guards are going to have to try and give Wyoming extra opportunities off the offensive glass. Peterson buries the 3.
Boy, huge possession. Not only did she get the offensive rebound, but she comes back and finishes it with a big 3-point shot.
Melina Peterson hit 2 of those in the season opener. Her first tonight. Ejim scores it again.
Grace Ellis has got to compete more down low with the gym. That was a basket, you know what, 5 seconds before she actually scored it.
A game high 16 for the junior Yvonne Ejim. And back and forth we go to open the 4th quarter. Shot clock into single figures. Tess Barnes down the end line. Draws the double. Ejim rejects, and Ellis misses the putback. Weideman grabs the loose ball.
Smart play by Peterson.
Deflected into the backcourt. Knocked loose. Ellis picks it up. Shot clock is not reset. Ellis motors across the midcourt stripe. Takes it all the way, and an offensive foul. A little out of control there. And Gonzaga gets it back up 2. Would you like to see her dish that out?
Absolutely. You know, I think she was trying to do her version of the Euro step, but I think you have to really exaggerate it a lot more and change your location a bit more than what she did. But this style of play, or this right now, this tempo of this game is definitely favoring Gonzaga.
Another low post touch. This time Ejim loses the handle, gets it back, and powers up another layup. Well, she is so good at getting that low post positioning, and she's now got 18 tonight.
Cowgirls just need to fight for that, you know, that low block positioning, and they're just giving her too deep of catches down low, and it's, you know, it's over. You're just not going to guard her that down that far.
Nice low post move from Grace Ellis on the other end. Ellis has 14 points for Wyoming tonight. Ejim, high lob into the low post, and a foul on Wyoming. Well, the Cowgirls would like Allison Ferdig back for the stretch run. Rolled that ankle in the third quarter. And here she comes. Look, they need her down the stretch to defend Yvonne Ejim and others in the low post.
Chris, and they need her to, to clean the glass. It's like I said, the first shot's not the one killing the Cowgirls, it's that second one.
Quick catch for Ejim. Maxwell's open. Another offensive rebound for the Zags.
Gonzaga's really tracking that ball as it comes off the rim.
They have not made it a secret in this fourth quarter. They want to run the offense through Yvonne Ejim.
Big difference right there. They tried to throw it into Ejim, but you know what? Allison Ferdig had her a full step and a half off the block on that catch. So if she would have got it, it still would have been a tough, position to score.
Ejim misses the first putback and the second putback.
Cowgirls dodged a bullet on that one. They got to really make sure it's one and done. Cannot give the Zags any extra shots.
Inside of 6 minutes. Wyoming hanging tough with the Gonzaga team receiving top 25 votes. Ferdig got fouled. That's the fourth on Ejim.
Great presence, great patience by Allison Ferdig. She let the offense, she let Quinn Weideman clear out of there, and she took her time and got to the middle on Ejim and got a high percentage shot. All right, she's either going to get the bucket or she's going to get the foul nearly every time she does that. I loved her execution right there on the block.
Ferdig's second trip to the foul line tonight. Shot the free throws at a 61% clip last season.
And Ejim, with 4 fouls, now has to come out of the game.
A critical stretch with Ejim off the floor, and Ferdig ties it.
2 big free throws. 2 really big free throws for Allison Ferdig.
And Ferdig heads to the bench. She'll probably head back to the bike. Tess Barnes takes her place. We've got a good one here down the stretch in Laramie. 54's on the board. Hollingsworth. Olsen grabs the miss. Is that one and yet done you were looking for?
Yeah, and Cowgirls very fortunate that Collingsworth didn't, knock that one down. She had a wide open 3-point shot there.
Yeah, she's hit 2 of them tonight. Chance for the Cowgirls to reclaim the lead. Grace Ellis goes to work. Grace Ellis scores off the window.
Wow, great patience right there, getting all the way to the other side of the basket to shoot that up and get the bucket.
Ellis is having a career night, 16 for the junior from Australia. Wyoming by 2. Stokes flashes the leather, takes it down the lane, and misses the layup. Wyoming with numbers. Weideman centers it to Barnes. Cowgirls have been patient on this end all night. Weideman flips it in. Timeout Gonzaga.
Chris, what a big-time play by Quinn Weideman. Came down in transition, didn't have the numbers, didn't have a good shot, got in the half court, and got the basket for the Cowgirls.
Wyo up 4, fourth quarter in Laramie. Well, Wyoming has put together an 8-0 stretch, and the Cowgirls have a 4-point lead with 4:29 to play. Tonight's game summary presented by Cheyenne Regional Medical Center.
Chris, this has been the story of the game. Post touches and paint scoring. And I tell you, I anticipated that, this would have come from the Cowgirls. I didn't think that we were going to get this much, low post scoring from the Zags. And I tell you, tonight, that's been the tale of the tape.
Well, out of this timeout, Yvonne Ejim, who leads all scorers with 18, is back on the floor with her 4 fouls. What trend will end tonight? Gonzaga's won 7 straight against the Mountain West, but Wyoming, 10 straight home opening wins. They haven't lost a home opener since 2011. And Ejim, her presence felt immediately. She's got a 20-piece.
Chris, we were talking about that at halftime. She scored so easily from the high post. I don't know why you wouldn't throw it to her nearly every possession.
Right now, Allison Ferdig riding that stationary bike. Marta Savic is in the game for Wyoming. 2-point lead for the Cowgirls inside of 4 minutes. Remember, they stumbled down the stretch, outscored 15-2 in their season opening loss. Savic puts it back and beats the buzzer.
Oh my gosh, what a huge possession. Great offensive rebound and a finish before the shot clock expired.
Marta Savic, what a boost she's been off the bench. 8 points tonight. Can anybody stop Ejim? They go back her way and turn it over. She wasn't ready for the pass from Maxwell.
Chris, did you see what Tommy Olson did there? She jumped in enough just to disrupt that dribble, made Ejim kick it back on out. And I think that's what the Cowgirls have to do. They've got to help Allison Ferdig, Savic. They've got to help a little bit on that high post catch by Ejim. She's too good up there.
Just Gonzaga's 6th turnover tonight. Weideman misses the layup. Ferdig, the offensive rebound, got fouled on the floor. And it's on Hybens. Gonzaga holding their breath with Ejim in the vicinity. She's got 4 fouls. And after watching much of this second half, Gonzaga has dominated the offensive glass. That was a much-needed offensive rebound for Wyoming.
Dangerous pass right there with Peterson.
Ferdig catches, scores.
Hey, catches and scores. Unbelievable pass by Tommy Olson over the top. She threw a pinpoint pass.
Top 15 in program history in assists. And she adds to her total. Trong welcomes the contact and scores off the glass. Timeout, Gonzaga.
Wow, Chris, tough shot right here with some contact. She finished it off the glass. Much needed basket for the Zags.
Kaylin Trong with 8 points for Gonzaga. More paint points in this basketball game on both ends, and it starts with Allison Ferdig.
Oh, I tell you, you look at that, that pass by Tommy Olson, that made that shot so easy. But once again, Allison Ferdig did great by getting that, position. She pushed out the defender and made it an open area for Tommy Olson to deliver that pass. Hey, Chris, you know what? I think a good timeout here by Coach Fortier. All right? I think they're going to come here and try to pick up, a little bit more in that half-court trap, try to disrupt the Cowgirls so they don't have to guard them in the half-court, because the Cowgirls are really efficient in scoring once they get into the half-court offense.
Zags have 2 timeouts left. Wyoming with 3.
Allison Ferdig back out of the game again.
2:20 left in the double-A. Glad you're with us for the stretch run. Been a big night for Grace Ellis. Peterson mid-range. Ejim clears. A big stop for the Zags. Kaylee Trong twirling and scoring.
That's a tough assignment for Quinn Weideman. One-on-one on an open court. Kaylee Trong is just too good offensively.
She's got 14 points tonight. Gonzaga has attacked the paint at will. Weideman, short floater deflected by Hollingsworth. Another stop for the Zags. Crunch time in Laramie, and Ejim ties it. You can't lose her on the slip. Yvonne Ejim with 22. A quick 6 for the Zags, and this game's tied.
Looks like Allison Ferdig's coming to check back in again. And I tell you, I think they really need her on the court, not only for that rebounding, but she just is that much taller to score over for Ejim, and it's that much more. She's that much harder to get post touches in the paint.
That's how a lot of Yvonne Ejim's buckets have looked tonight.
And I think once you get on that high side and you go for the steal, you've given up the basket. I think it's better to play behind and make her at least score over the top of you.
A 22 for Yvonne Ejim, matching her early season high at 22 in the season opening win over Long Beach State. The reigning WCC Player of the Week, making an early case to repeat.
Yeah, she has been very impressive tonight. A lot of activity. We've seen how athletic she is on the glass, and her ability to put it on the deck and get to the rim, for a girl as tall as she is impressive. You know what? We've not been able to guard her in that high post, and she's a very talented player. Cowgirls, what do you come back with here out of this timeout? I think you got to get Allison Fertig a low post touch. I think you got to be patient right now. Make sure it's a high percentage shot, or you get to the foul line.
Well, there's a lot of experience on the floor right now for Gonzaga. All upperclassmen, and they've been a part of this great stretch with this women's basketball program, having reached 5 straight NCAA tournaments. They know how to close in close games like this. Weideman draws 2, somehow gets it away to Peterson.
In spite of a lot of contact in that trap. Great defense by Ejim.
Melema leaves it short, inside of a minute. Gonzaga perfect on their last 4 trips down.
Ejim in the high post again. This is a tough matchup for the Cowgirls.
Lowers her shoulder, scores it again. Timeout, Wyoming. A monster 4th quarter. Yvonne Ejim has 24.
I got to take my hat off. Coach Fortier saw the same thing we've been saying. Hey, when it's we need a basket, get Ejim in the high post and just let her put it on the deck and get to the rim. She's so talented.
Gonzaga has gone on an 8-0 run down the stretch of the 4th quarter to take a 2-point lead, and all night long, Wyoming hasn't had much of an answer for Yvonne Ejim. She's got 24 points on 12 of 17 shooting.
And as good as she was here on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive end, down guarding Allison Fertig, she just would not let her catch the ball and get a post touch. She denied Allison Fertig and the Cowgirls a good opportunity to get a good shot that last possession.
Heather Ezell in her home opener, trying to draw up something to at least tie it here as we check in with Bridget Howard.
Steve, you mentioned the great defense that Yvonne Ejim has been playing with against Allison Fertig. That's what head coach Lisa Fortier told me before the game. She said, I think that's a hidden talent about Yvonne Ejim that's not so hidden here tonight. She said she's a great defensive player, really a great defender, and her physical makeup and understanding the value of defense is what really makes her a complete player.
Melema gets whacked on the way up. And so the sophomore, who's been aggressive in her minutes tonight, will have a chance to tie it with a couple of free throws.
Some big free throws, but a lot of contact on that play. Looks like she got hit pretty hard. Is that on Ejim?
And the foul on Michaela Williams, and Ejim has to feel fortunate it wasn't whistled against her, or else her night would have come to an end.
Could have easily picked up number 5.
Mellema ties it. The sophomore calmly knocks down a pair.
She walked up to that line and knocked down 2 like, you know, she was a senior. Those were huge free throws with the game on the line right there. What a ball game we got, Chris. This is as good as it gets.
We told you it was a good early season matchup at the jump, right? Preseason favorite in the West Coast. A top contender in the Mountain West. 64s on the board. And with 21.2, Lisa Fortier takes timeout. So 5 seconds separate the shot clock from game clock. Have to remember here in the women's game that if Gonzaga misses and Wyoming grabs a rebound, they can call timeout to advance the basketball.
And I like that rule. I really do. It just adds another element and a preparation as, you know, as a staff to be ready for that, you know, that possibility in the game. Chris, I gotta say, I really think Gonzaga had the Cowgirls where they wanted them right there. They had the ball. They had Grace Ellis on Ejim, and looked like they were going to go right back into that high post touch, which they've scored on every single time. I'm not quite sure why they called that timeout to let the Cowgirls get set up.
So Gonzaga now out of timeouts. Wyoming with 2, and there's the foul situation. So Wyoming has a foul to give. With the risk you run if you apply a foul, that shot clock resets and probably goes dark.
But you just got to play solid defense right now and find some way to try to keep Ejim from catching the ball at the high post.
Ejim with 5 to shoot. Scores again. A little 2-hand floater, a soft touch on the finish. Yvonne Ejim, 26 points tonight. Unstoppable down the stretch. And Gonzaga leads with 9.4 to play.
Just a gorgeous play right here. A little jab step to the right, went back left and finished strong with the contact. You know, what a ball player we've got a chance to watch tonight.
A special talent for sure. Last season's WCC 6th Woman of the Year. Might be making an early case for WCC Player of the Year.
Absolutely. So fundamentally sound and, you know, has changed the game, not just on the offensive side of things, but on the defensive side. And that's what you hope from great players. They bring it on both sides of the court, and she has done that tonight.
On a night where Wyoming's defense has made things challenging for Gonzaga to consistently put together buckets, the Bulldogs, 6 of their last 6 from the floor in crunch time.
High percentage shots. They've executed well.
Mellema down the lane, flips it up, missed it. Rebound Ejim. Trong is fouled with 1.4 to go. And so it looked a lot like the play prior where Mellema drew the foul and got 2 free throws. And this is when it's a bad thing that you had a foul to give, because with 1.4, more time is going to come off the clock here, and Wyoming's going to have to foul in the blink of an eye. Ejim lobs it in, broken up, and time expires. Gonzaga, they close 6 for 6 from the floor, and the Bulldogs come all the way back to spoil Wyoming's home opener 66-64. It's time for our play of the game, presented by Wyo Lotto. No surprise, Yvonne Ejim is in the middle of it.
Chris, she's been so impressive tonight. And I tell you, when you need a basket, you need to go to your best player, and you hope that they deliver. And time again tonight, she delivered for the Zags.
Bridget Howard is with Gonzaga head coach Lisa Fortier.
Coach, Yvonne Ejim, 26 points tonight. You told me at the half you didn't think the Cowgirls had an answer for her. They certainly didn't in the second half. What stood out to you about her dominant performance tonight?
Well, I mean, just the way she got to the basket, her percentage was really high. She couldn't play a whole lot of minutes based on just health and that, and so just the way that she was so efficient with it. That's the most important thing. She got to the rim, sure, that was great, but she didn't miss a bunch to where we had to go get offensive rebounds. She made most of them, and her efficiency was huge for us.
Ended the night with 4 fouls. She was in foul trouble there for a little bit. What'd you like about her smartness that she played with?
Yeah, well, it's hard when you're such an active, aggressive player to ratchet it back. You want to just get into people, but I think she was really poised. At that time when she's tired and she's playing with 4, you have to be smart, and I think she did an amazing job. We don't win this game without her staying in it.
You told me before the game today that when you hoped that adversity struck today, that you guys would use your veterans and be able to come out down the stretch. How'd you see that here tonight?
Well, I mean, our pregame speech was all about what's the identity of the team. I told them everyone's asking me about that. And I think the identity of our team is that we can be tough. We can play in an adverse situation. A tough crowd, a tough place to play. Lynn and Lee and Eliza and Michaela and Bonnie, they played a lot of minutes. And those are our upperclassmen. And we needed them. We played them more than we wanted to have to. And they just dug in when we needed it, and they finished the game off great.
Well, Coach, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Gonzaga, they trailed much of the second half, but a strong finish from the Bulldogs, and they escaped Laramie with a 66-64 win. Only going to get tougher for the Zags. They're off to the Bahamas. They'll play 7th-ranked Louisville this weekend to open the battle for Atlantis. A rematch from the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament last season. Let's meet our player of the game. No surprise here, it's presented by Union Wireless.
Yvonne Ejim. She did it on both sides of the court. She just was a fantastic player to watch and really made some tough shots. I'll tell you, Coach Fortier just talked about her activity and how aggressive she was, and that really won out for her, I think, on both sides of the court. She was just not going to be denied tonight.
There's a good chance Wyoming doesn't see a post player with the talent of Yvonne Ejim the rest of the way. Cowgirls, they'll learn from this. I think a lot to be happy about going away from this game despite the loss.
Chris, we knew Gonzaga was going to make a run here in the second half. They did. The Cowgirls withstood it, and you know what? We're in a position to win this ball game late. It is so close. They are so close to getting over the top. You know what? And that's how they got to be able to find, they got to be able to close that gap and close out these games for the win.
Well, Wyoming continues this season-opening homestand on Friday when the Denver Pioneers come to town. We'll have that for you on the Mountain West Network. Fun one tonight inside Arena Auditorium. Gonzaga escapes Laramie with a 66-64 win. So for the coach, Steve Gosar, Bridget Howard, our entire crew, my name's Chris Sylvester saying so long from Laramie, Wyoming, where Gonzaga ekes out a road victory, 66-64. For more live Wyoming athletics broadcasts, features, and info, visit GoWyo.com. This has been an exclusive presentation of the Mountain West Network. Good night, everybody.